right. Okay. So yeah, this week's going to be a little bit different because we're going to move into steel. And also, and one good thing is on Dalton, you'll get a little bit more experience than you would on some of the other projects that we do, because we do have some steel columns and some steel members there. So, which is a little bit different than the car washes, because they're not necessarily bolt up. You know, I can't remember. Honestly, I can't remember. We'll need to look at the shop drawings for Dalton to see if they actually are bolt up or not. But most of the time, what this is going to refer to is like if it's an iron structure that gets put up, you know, it'll be a combination of bolts and welding that'll need to happen on the actual structure itself. So
Okay.
this is going to be a little bit different than the projects we normally do, but certainly part of construction. So let's see here. So basically, we're going to run through erection, sequencing, and bracing, and bolting, welding, and tolerances. So that'll just be some stuff just for you to kind of, you know, keep in the back of your mind. Not a huge deal. You won't necessarily reference this. So just as a rule of thumb, like for instance, on my hospital projects that I did, depending on the size, the most critical thing for a PM to do is to get the shop drawings approved for the steel. That's the most critical. Because that will take somewhere between 2 and 3 weeks just to get those approved, because you'll go through a couple of different revisions. And then you're probably looking at close to, depending on the size of the job, you know, as much as a 8 to 12 week lead time to actually get the steel in.
Okay.
So if we've got steel on a project, it needs to be in the top 5 of, you know, in your phase 1. So for buyout. All right, so let's talk about erection, sequencing, and bracing. So kind of some players. So is the controlling contractor. So that's obviously us. So, you know, written notification before erection begins, anchor bolt repair authorization. So that's something that we don't necessarily do unless we need to. You might remember it happened in Billings, and it happened maybe somewhere else. Well, San Antonio was another good example. But we had to get some. Some of our anchors were off, so they were off, you know, one way or the other. And whenever that happens, we have to let the engineer know, and then they will say, "Yep, okay, you can go ahead and epoxy those," or "Yes, you can go ahead and cut the base plate, maybe make the holes a little bigger so they'll fit," you know, that type of thing. So. Usually, if it is, so you'll see in our steel drawings. So I'll just bring up West Bridgewater as an example, because all the modern wash stuff is pretty much the same. And I'll show you what we're talking about. So, you know, obviously we have this layout that we lay out all of the columns by and footings. And then if we go to actually our base plate details, which are here. So sometimes this is by far the hardest columns to set, just because they've got so many anchors that we're trying to line up. So occasionally what we'll have to do is we'll have to come in here, and we might have to make this hole just a little bit bigger, something like that. And the steel erector will most of the time, he'll take his torch and he'll make it a little bit bigger, depending on, you know, take the column off, see which one he's got to do, something else that we could possibly have to do is maybe we actually have to notch the base plate. Okay, blowing out a hole, which is what you know, if you blow out a hole, that's when you make the hole just a little bit bigger. We don't ask for approval on that. Typically, that's a standard practice, not a big deal. If we have to modify the base plate at all, like this, or, you know, maybe we're not notching it, maybe we're doing something else, maybe we've missed it so bad that we actually need to come on here and scab on a piece of the base plate, you know, or maybe we've missed it so bad we have to cut the column. We have to cut the column and move the column, in which is going to, you know, that's typically what we would do in this situation. We make the base plate a little bit bigger. We have somebody structurally weld this and get it inspected. Then we actually move this column. So if it's here, then maybe we need to move the column to here now.